Hey, I'm Michael. Welcome back to another video. I wanted to start talking a little bit about my international portfolio, which I hold in Germany. And this video will be the start, where I talk a little bit about the structure of my portfolio, and we'll start talking about some of the individual companies I hold in my portfolio. But first, starting with a quick disclaimer. As always, when we talk about individual stocks, I do not hold a financial services license, and everything I say is general information only and should not be taken as financial advice. So let's get right into it. So in the German portfolio, I am currently around 70% invested. This means I still hold 30% cash for future investments, and I think I want to wait for a little bit more stable time. At the moment it's a little bit uncertain. The market, especially in Europe and Germany, went down a little bit, but it's still just very unclear on what the future direction is, and that's very okay, because we had such a great time over the last couple of months. So stocks were all going just in one direction, and that was up. And there's always a time where prices have to find their balance again, because it's the share market is not just a one-way street, as always. But yeah, so that means I'm invested, yes, but hold a little bit cash to make sure I stay prepared for times when I think that some companies that I'm interested in, or companies that I already hold, where I think the price is attractive again, where I can purchase again and buy some more shares of those companies. The overall structure is that I hold some of my funds in ETF, and there are 3 ETFs that I hold in my portfolio, and the rest is individual investments. And at the moment I hold around 27 individual companies in my portfolio. Starting with the 3 ETFs I hold. Those are all low-cost ETFs to cover 3 different markets. So one, I wanted to make sure that I have an ETF that covers the broad US market. So it's an ETF on the S&P 500. And the second ETF is one that covers mid-cap German companies, so MDAX companies. The mid-cap index contains 60 German companies, probably medium size. And the third ETF that I have in my portfolio is focused on emerging markets, to make sure I have some exposure to emerging markets as well. And those ETFs, I basically have a plan set up that I invest automatically and regularly into those ETFs. Once a month there is an investment that I make into those ETFs, and that will be ongoing. This way I can make sure that I achieve an average purchase price, and I gain on the future growth, long-term future growth of those indices. And the second part, as I already mentioned, is 27 individual holdings that I have. And there, let's talk a little bit about the industries that I have. And as it's very focused on technology, so it's certainly the biggest exposure I have is into technology companies. And this is because I think that I understand technology very well. Also, it's currently running very well, because technology companies are not as affected from the recent crisis from Corona than other companies. And some companies even benefited from the current situation. So that's why that exposure in technology is currently very high. Another reason is that I understand technology companies most of the time better than other companies because of my background in IT. I understand those concepts a little bit better. I understand what the potential outlook for those companies could be. And I understand what those markets behind that can drive. And the other 3 areas, definitely a little bit smaller in my portfolio, is energy, real estate, and consumer staples. But again, a very small portion of that portfolio. most of the companies are actually in the technology industry. The three largest holdings in my portfolio are Alphabet, Amazon, and Cloudflare. And the first two are probably no surprise, big companies, big tech companies that are doing really well and that I believe have still future growth ahead of them. And when you see their earnings reports over the last years and quarters, it's always just very positive, especially Amazon with smashing every result. And I believe that their future is still very bright when you see how they behave, how their customers still taking on their products, and how the user basis is when you see it for Alphabet and Google. And Cloudflare is obviously a little bit of a special holding and more spectacular than the other ones. However, this got big because the performance of that stock actually was really good over the last couple of weeks, and that's why it got such a large position in my portfolio. And the three companies with the best performance I have in my portfolio is Nvidia on 1, Square on number 2, and Cloudflare on number 3. And they all have increased of more than 40% in my portfolio. So that's pretty good. I'm really happy with that, and also companies that I think have still future growth in them, especially a company like Square. They are just growing rapidly, and of course it's an expensive company to buy, or company to buy shares of, but a great product, especially a great uptake here in Australia, in US, and I think they will have a great uptake in Europe as well when they start using less and less cash to purchase goods. And especially for small companies, a product that's easy to implement, and when your business grows, it's just really easy to scale within your business. So yeah, this was a first really quick overview about my portfolio and the holdings, some of the holdings I have. In future videos, I want to go into more detail and also speak a little bit more about individual companies that I hold and why I think they are still a good investment. I hope this was interesting to you, and let me know in your comments what your favorite stocks in your portfolio are. And I'm gonna see you in the next video. Until then, bye.